So I hear a lot of different advice about how to square one's finances, how to progress financially. And I kind of was thinking about what is it that changed in my life that made me financially successful? What things have gotten me to where I am? And there's a number of things that kind of most people have talked about: frugality, living below your means, investing in retirement accounts when available, things like that. And one thing I hear mentioned, but I don't ever hear talked about in depth really, is your partner, who you decide to pair yourself with for your life and your finances. And so I want to talk a little bit about that because, really, since getting married is when my financial life has grown so much faster than it had when I was single. When I was single, part of it was that I didn't have anyone to answer to for my money. So when I wanted to kind of piss money away on whatever toy or thing, because I wasn't a person that would spend frivolously day to day, but I would save up some money, get some cash, and then be like, well, let's go on this trip, or let's buy this cool item, or whatever thing that I was like, this would be cool, let's do that. And so once I got married, part of the thing that slowed me down was both of us being frugal and then having to speak the words out loud and justify this purchase to someone. Just kind of slowed me down and made me think maybe I don't need to buy that thing right now. And it wasn't even that my wife was like, no, I don't want you to do that, or we're trying to save money for anything. She probably would have been fine with most of the things. Every now and then I'll say something. She's like, I don't think that's a good purchase. I'm like, okay, that's probably true. So I'll sit on it and eventually it goes away, because I'm the guy that will have no desire to buy anything until kind of out of nowhere, all of a sudden I get the urge to get something. And then I pull the trigger usually pretty quick, and they're usually not small buys. Like I said, I don't buy things frequent. I don't buy little things frequently. I buy large things infrequently, which equates to probably about the same amount of money, or maybe a little more on my part, buying the larger items. But aside from that kind of, sanity check, accountability, I guess you could say, there's also just the idea that when you come together, when you have the right partner, they drive you to be better and to improve yourself and your situation. And I haven't asked my wife this, but I think it's probably true. It's certainly true for me. Having the person that you're supposed to be kind of taking care of and thinking about in the back of your mind whenever you're making any decision, financial or otherwise, is a good motivation to be like, oh yeah, I should do this more responsible thing, whether it's contributing to a retirement account, or whether it's doing the extra side jobs and side hustles to bring in a little extra cash, whether it's thinking about responsible ways to spend the money, or thinking about maybe we don't need to do this thing, this big trip, or maybe we don't need to spend this particular amount of money on this luxury item, because I have a goal, which is to improve the financial situation of my wife and I. And one of the things I want to do in my relationship is to provide a financially thriving life for us. And so, another thing is just there's teamwork that's just there. We're always working as a team of all right, how can we do this a little better? How can we do that a little better? And I'm the one that generally does the kind of financial rigmarole stuff, making the intricate decisions. And, we're going to talk to a financial advisor about some retirement accounts a little bit later. And I set that up because, well, for one, it was an account that I had before we were married. So it's quote unquote my account in the sense that I know about it. I know the details of it. But also just I'm the one kind of always scheming like that. The non-risky ones are no-brainers, and the risky ones I usually just keep to myself, and I'm like, we're not going to actually spend money on that, even though I really do want to do it for the next 2 weeks. And then I'll find something else to obsess over. So that's kind of the thought process of how marriage can help you out. And there's kind of some of the lower level things too, right? Of having dual income, no kids, the DINK lifestyle is obviously very useful. When we first got married, and I was still in the Marine Corps, and now making like the allowance for housing, which didn't quite double my paycheck at that time, but it did improve it very well. And then she was also doing her thing, and I came into the marriage with no debt. She came into the marriage with very little debt. Neither of us had a ton of money saved up, but I had a good little nest egg. And I had a couple, like, brokerage account. Did I have a Bitcoin account at that time? I think I just had a brokerage account. And, a couple, the one retirement account at the time. Can't even remember. And we just came into it, and we were still living our life. It's just that now we were both living in a place that I think she actually downgraded because she got rid of a roommate. So she was paying less in rent. I was technically paying around the same amount of rent because the situation I had living with a roommate, the whole lifestyle thing, wasn't even living with a roommate, I guess, technically at the time. Anyway, yeah, coming into the marriage, we both had our lives together. We talked pretty extensively about what we wanted for our futures financially, but also just kind of like kids and personal goals and professional goals and where we wanted to live. And both of us matched up very well in that regard of like, neither of us had a thing that we had to do and all else fell to the wayside in order to accomplish that, which I think is one benefit. But nonetheless, we matched up very well. And so I think matching up like that has paid dividends because we haven't had to fight each other. We're similarly frugal. We similarly like to spend modest amounts of money on things, and we similarly enjoy saving and like feel the like, oh, that's cool of meeting savings goals and paying off the little bit of debt that we have right now and things like that. And so I think that has just it's underrated how valuable that is to say. It's underrated how valuable that is to kind of think about in a marriage, because there's so many people living in marriages where they have to fight their spouse on savings goals or paying off debt or not spending money, one that they don't have, like getting rid of credit cards and stuff. You listen to the Ramsey show sometimes, and you can easily forget how much of a fight it is to get some people on board with paying off debt, getting rid of the credit cards, selling the expensive cars, etc., etc., etc. So that's why choosing who you're going to marry is such an important decision when it comes to finances. I mean, it's an important decision for literally your entire life, because so many people don't think about, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person, and what happens if this thing that I don't like about them never changes? If that's going to be a problem, then you should reconsider marrying them. But also, if you're on totally different financial wavelengths, like one person wants to go on a ridiculous vacation every year regardless of their financial situation. They're okay going into debt, using credit cards to pay for fairly simple luxuries like vacations, or remodeling some part of the house, or getting some ridiculous electronics, or spoiling the kids or whatever. Like, if you're someone who's not cool with that and they are cool with that, that's going to cause a lot of problems in your marriage, and you're just starting behind the eight ball with that. Like if you think about, I think about my marriages, we kind of started at zero in the sense that neither of us really had any debt. We had a net worth, a positive net worth. I mean, it was probably like $5,000 or $10,000 total. Maybe it's a little more if you consider retirement accounts, I guess. But it was no more than $50,000 at the absolute most, and almost all of that was illiquid assets like retirement accounts. And so I think of that as we started at zero. But what if you come into a marriage $100,000 in debt between the two of you, and your net worth is well into the negative tens of thousands? That's starting behind zero. That's starting in the negative, so that you have to now climb out of that to get to zero. And that's going to cause stress, especially if one of you wants to get out of that debt and free themselves, and one of you doesn't care. And so that's why you need to think about who you're going to marry, and you need to really be smart about how you're going to select them. And the big thing that got us was just saying, is sitting down and talking about it and realizing, we are pretty much on the same wavelength. Thankfully, we didn't have a lot of differences to sort out. It was kind of small stuff that I couldn't even tell you what they were anymore. So yeah, that's why you need to choose your spouses carefully.